Hello and welcome back to our Planet Coaster Horror Challenge Mode series. And it's been a while. I had some issues outside of in my real life that I had to take care of. So that's why we're a little later than what was originally planned. But if you're new to the series, you can see the rules just popped up. These are some additional rules that I've set for myself. To make it a little bit more challenging here as we go through the challenge mode series. And you can see what we're doing here is we're working on a car ride and trying to make do with some of the paths here. The initial plan for this episode was to build just a car ride, and that has obviously changed over the course of the episode here. And you can see we just completely restarted there. I did not like the way that was going, so we go ahead and we start to readjust the path work here. So and the path work changes a little bit here throughout the episode, but we do settle on something that I really enjoy and I'm really happy with. So you can see we're doing a bunch of terrain work here at the beginning because I wanted to have like a little river that came through and then eventually went into the larger river here. So we go ahead, we get that in there. Now bridges are definitely sometimes a challenge to do here, but we managed to make it work pretty well. You can see we are still focusing on the car ride here, and the idea is we want the car ride to just kind of explore the terrain here. It's going to have some interesting features like similar to what's the car ride in Disneyland? Autopolis? No. Anyway, whatever that car ride is. So it's going to have a part where the cars go onto some dirt. I did want the metal beam in the middle, the track guide, or the car guide, or whatever you want to call that. That was going to be something that I wanted to be in here, but I didn't want to use the antique cars, so we do switch those out for the sports cars, which I think looks really nice. Now, you can see this is not how this goes. You can see I'm taking a look at it. We move things around a lot. I had this area here, and it was at this time where I was like, you know what? We need to make something that is that occupies this area. I didn't want it to be a building. Knew I wanted it to be a flat ride, and you know, I settled on the sun flare. I know I call it the solar flare in the live portion, and then obviously we make a name for it. But I wanted it to be that ride. I thought it was. I think it's a really cool ride. I think it adds some dimension to the park. Another flat ride. And then I also thought that it would be really cool to have the car ride go around on a lower level, fully around the car ride. So, and that is what takes the longest, or causes the most problems in the building of this video. So, you can see we are trying a bunch of different things here. We're now putting just the base for the car ride in here, and again, we now realize that we probably need it to go the opposite direction here. So we go ahead and we sort that around here quite a bit, and you know, I'm not too sure what I was doing there. I must have been editing something there, but we go ahead, we get back to work, and I want this little area where you have both cars, one going one way, one going the other way. Now I make it so that the terrain's there. We end up donating the terrain. You don't see the terrain at all. You do obviously on that end, but you know, we got that looking the way we want it to there. So we do finish out the the car ride and the way we want this to go. So this is going to be the dirt road section of the ride. And you can see we are doing the work on the over by the hyper jump, and you can see now we're making sure, because we're going to have a second bridge there, so that we had room to be able to do that. We also want it to be relatively nice and smooth turns, but I did want to have a little bit of variation, so we do lift it up a little bit and then bring it back down on the other side. You know, nothing too crazy. We do leave a little bit of space there. So we'll have to be putting something in there, which I have an idea for, which I'm not going to reveal at the moment. And then, of course, we shorten the station there, so it's not as large. And we start to deal with the path, which the path is probably the hardest part, because it's not something that I control. The ground work next to the path is rigid and does not want to function or work with this at all. So we go back over here, we start making the dirt road portion. You can see I wanted to make sure that the road was completely covered by terrain, but the guide rail is there, still sticking up. So that became a challenge. You can see we're meticulously going through and just raising and lowering the terrain here to try and get that to look as good as we can, and as flat as we can, because this is, you know, you don't want to just be driving up like a little peak and trying to balance on that. So we end up getting this to look pretty good, and then once we get the terrain level sorted out, then it's just a matter of going over with the dirt terrain paint, and you know, that kind of makes it look a lot more believable, a lot more realistic, and yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And you know, we're getting to the end of what we do with the car ride here. Again, we're still on the thought process that, you know, we would like to do excuse me, to have the car ride completed in this episode, but it's just going to be too much work. We already have a super long time lapse for you, so we forego the completion of the car ride. We will get that in the next video, but we do have a pretty good base, and you can see it's looking pretty good. Everything's working pretty well at the moment. You know, we're just making sure we get everything tested and everything like that. So we got things. Now, you can see we are at $52,000. That goes down significantly. So that is something that we will need to pay attention to while we are finishing up the car ride. The car ride's going to be, I think, the turning point for what we got at the moment. We needed something that's going to start bringing in some more money, and that's going to be it. Because those things bring in a ton of people, so that'll definitely impact us and help us significantly. So now you can see we are getting ready to work on the sun flare, and you know, we wanted to keep the brickwork from the bridge. I thought it'd be nice to have a little bit of consistency with that. At least on this side from one bridge to the other. So we go ahead, we start making our little brickwork here so we can get our foundation for the sun flare. We add in some extra lights and things like that just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then once we get everything sorted out, we duplicate that, bring that over to the other side, and fortunately it worked the right way. So we really only had to worry about the top portion here. Now I did forget that we are going to want to double check and see how these rotate. So you can see we try to rotate these, it doesn't work right, and I realize that, and I realize that I need to change the way this works. So you can see we focus on using the 15% rotation. And then it ends up being that it's nearly perfect for just 3 wall pieces that were rotated. So once we get these in here, this ends up just being super simple for us to rotate and get around. So that, of course, we had to make some modifications here to the beams up here that we're using as the topper for this, and then of course we had to just modify everything a little bit just to make it look good. You can see we're starting to duplicate things now, and then yeah, this will come together quickly. This is probably one of the easier parts. It definitely took a little bit longer because I screwed up, and you know, it just naturally takes time. But you can see we got the full thing there. We obviously checked the lighting, which I do apologize. I forget to go over lighting in the live video, so I apologize for that. But now what you're seeing is the one thing that I was very reluctant to want to work on, and that is, how is the path going to work? How is the queue going to work for this ride? It's elevated, it's away from everything. We have to go over the car ride. That's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough to get working. So we try a bunch of different things. We use the wooden beams because I think those work. You know, you can use those to kind of fill in some gaps, and it starts to come together. It takes time because we're doing a lot of manual placement for this wall. But you know, I'm pretty happy with the way that it turns out. And obviously, you can see the car ride going through the wall. That obviously has changed in the future. But yeah, this works out well. And originally, you know, you saw when I created the queue the first time, it did not have a priority pass queue. And I was thinking, there's no way that I'm going to be able to fit a priority pass queue in on this ride when all I have is this one little curve area to get it to work. And you'll see what we do and how we are able to make it fit, and you know, it looks good. I'm really happy with the way that it's turned out, and of course now we're working on just making the top of these walls be a little more consistent with everything else, and fitting in here. And you know, again, this is tedious work, moving these pieces one by one, getting them to line up perfectly, and you know, it's worth it in the end, but man, does it take a long time. So and again, this is sped up 10 times, so you can tell I'm very slow at moving these. So you can see now I'm like, you know what, maybe we can fit the priority pass queue. And the key to that was doing that little hitch with the queue where it kind of zigzags a little bit. And that kind of gives you that flat area that you can connect the queue to without having to have like a weird connection. Right there, you can see I just built one. So that is huge, and we still had to have a weird connection because of the stupid green things. They were going to stick out, so we go ahead and we get it, and look at how good that is. Like, that's perfect sizing. I did check to see how the guests are going to walk on that, and you know, they walk on it just fine. And then the one thing I hate doing, maybe one of the things that I like the least about this game, is covering up the curbs. I just cannot stand doing that because it's all manual, tedious placement. But you know, we do it, we stick through it, and you know, we find a way to get it to look pretty decent. So and you can see here I'm just double checking, making sure, seeing if anything's sticking out, making sure all the gaps are covered, and you know, now realizing that it's time to do this. Also, for whatever reason, I completely ignored that one concrete thing coming through the wall. The entire video, even through the live portion, never saw it. And as I'm editing, I saw that that one concrete piece was coming through the wall. So we'll definitely go back in and change that here. We'll probably do it off camera, so you won't need to worry about that. But now you can see we're trying a way to see if we can just do this a little bit quicker. And we are making its own building here so that we can sink those down in and try and work those around, and that just didn't quite work for us. So you know, it's still there, but we still have some things that we need to address and get going here as we're trying to work this through. So you can see I did modify the queue there a little bit to try and reduce the amount that we have to do. And I think that kind of works. Now you can see we're manually placing some fences to be consistent with the rest of the build here. And I think these turn out, these look pretty nice here. And again, just tedious work. Wonder how many times I can say that. So, but that's what this build was. It was all that kind of stuff. And I'm hoping the next one's not going to be the same. But you never know. So, yeah, now the inside, that wasn't too bad. The middle I was purposely avoiding because I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here as we're building. So we go ahead, we get the inside sorted out. We duplicate the brick over here for our entrance. So I think that kind of tidies it up here a little bit. And then now for the middle portion, we wanted to try and get these pieces as close as they can and as consistently close as possible. So you can see I put it off again. I was like, you know what, I need to go figure out how to do this, do the exit here. And you know, this was going to be a problem, which we actually sorted out by using the grid select. So that worked out really well, which I was really pleased with. And then now that I got that sorted out, you know, let's see how much more we can avoid from doing this. But yeah, you can see now it's time. It's time. We're going to work on the inside stuff here, and in the middle parts there in a little bit. And you know, like I said, this was the part that I was least excited to do. And you can see that those pieces there, I just wish you could get rid of those, but there wasn't any way to do it. So we just had to live with it. And now you can see we're going back. The middle pieces here that had to be a little bit different. We want that middle piece to be relatively consistent all the way around the width of it, so it looks okay. And that works. And then of course we do the end here, and you know, you might say, oh, that was pretty easy. It didn't take you very long to do that. Well, that's not necessarily the part that's the problem. The middle here was definitely, I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out, but this ended up being much easier than I anticipated. But the corners, I didn't know what to do with, because it just looked weird, it looked out of place. Obviously, you're not just going to have a random curb turning through, so the option is either just leave it as it is and leave the curb there and just let it show and just be like, oh, I can't fix anything, or try and find a solution. And I wanted to try and find a solution. So Once we get all of the interior fencing done, we take a shot at coming up with getting planners in there to make it somewhat believable that you might see something like that. And, they're just simple planners, nothing outrageous, but we go ahead and we start putting those in, and it turns out a whole lot better than what I thought it was. It adds some green to the area, which makes the area just seem a little bit more full, a little bit more believable. We start stacking these, so that tends to make that look a little bit better as well. And you can see it just starts to go. It just starts to look like maybe they put that together just to add something to the area. So I was really happy with the way that turned out. And we use these on the other side near the entrance. Those bushes, I wish I didn't have as big of a hitbox, but those bushes, I really like those bushes. They're some of my favorite in the Planet Coaster game. So, but you can see now we're still working on the exit here, or the exit connection to the main path. We knew that we had to have a tunnel here, so I knew that I was going to be using those castle tunnel pieces. This is not the path that the car ride takes. We completely changed this. But that gave me an idea to see, is this going to be high enough to be able to, for one of these cars to get through safely without chopping someone's head off, which it is. It's very close. You'd be able to put your hand up and touch it, but you can drive underneath it comfortably without having to duck down or anything like that, which is the most important thing, I think, for one of these car rides. I just think, there's been car rides that I've been on where you can reach up and touch the thing that you're going through, so I'm not too concerned about that on this particular ride. So we go ahead and get some manual fencing and whatnot in here as we work to get our entrance completed. And Planet Coaster is just all about problem solving when you're trying to go this much detail. And I'm not the most detailed person that plays this game. I play on challenge mode, which is, I don't think there's a lot of people that do that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that do it, but you don't see as many series about challenge mode and trying to make sure guests are able to, it's going to function and it's going to look good. So, I just think the problem solving in this game, that's primarily what you're doing, is trying to get something. Things don't tend to be straightforward. I mean, sometimes they are. Like that tunnel, I ended up just getting lucky with having the tunnel piece and being able to just build that. And there I am checking the height on those, so that looks good. We trying to use some of the pieces here just to kind of make it look a little bit nicer and get things sorted out. We're trying to remember lights where we can, because I do tend to forget about lights, and we get those in there, so that looks good. Now just finishing off this last little corner, and of course we want to bring one all the way down to the end to make it consistent. And same on the exit side, which I think looks pretty nice. Yeah, this was, once we get past this, there's definitely some areas that are a little bit more challenging. There were a lot of times where I'd have to stop recording and sit there and just look through and see what I wanted to do next, and how I was going to address some of the things that I needed to problem solve, because there was definitely a lot. there was the part between the fence and the ride, or the fence, the path and the ride, especially the one going over to the bridge that never gets built, or doesn't get built in this episode. Kind of what I'm working on now. That whole area did not want to cooperate, so that ended up being an area of challenge and trying to get that sorted out. But before we take a while until we get to that. We got quite a bit. The other part or other area is this area that we're going to work on right now. This little lower area, and you know, my solution to this was, you know what, we would need a way to get into the water, just for general maintenance of the bridge, anything else that gets built up. Obviously, the aerial attack jets and different things like that for the effects. We would need a way to get into the water so we could get to those and to do maintenance, and you're not just going to have someone crawl down and swim over. So I said, well, this is an area that would be accessible by vehicle, since we do have vehicles already driving through, and it wouldn't be a large vehicle, just some small stuff, but something that could pull a small boat through. You know, we should have a little bit of a boat ramp that leads into the water. So with that, we would also want to put a little stairwell that comes off the main path here. That would be a maintenance stairwell. Only maintenance would use it, no guests and whatnot. We could put that in there and just have that there, just for a little bit of added realism. So you can see we're starting to prepare on how we're going to do that. And it doesn't take long. This is probably one of the easier builds. We just use a lot of the grid pieces, and we organize them in a specific way so that we don't have anything coming through any of the walls, and we have a staircase down. And, you know, I think it looks pretty nice. I am pretty happy with the way this one turns out. You know, it kind of makes me feel like maybe I should do some more of this, but at the same time, I don't know if it's necessarily worth it all over the place. But you know, we can see we're duplicating a lot of stuff from the bridge there. We're doing the downward slope here, which turns out to be very simple. Finding a solution for the wall there, didn't have small pieces to fit in there. And then of course our fences that we're going to go on one side, and then on the other side we have benches that are in the wall, so we have natural seating, and that is going to be the future home of the signage for our Sunflare. So we'll get into that at the end of the time lapse, which we still have quite a bit of time on the time lapse here. Yeah, took me a long time to get this video out, but you got a pretty long video here to start the year for us. But you can see we're just making some little steps here out of the walls and whatnot, or the castle roof, which we use those. That is the base for the whole structure here on the bottom. So I thought they looked pretty nice. I didn't want to use just regular generic concrete. I figured the brick would be a nice little mix up there. So we go ahead. You can see we just put that in here, and now it's time to build the ramp. So I thought we had a good location here, and we just build some of these in here. This would just be literally a concrete ramp. There's not going to be anything specific, nothing special. So we just duplicate those over, and then obviously we're going to have to get rid of some of the ground there. And yeah, like I said, that turns out to be a fairly simple piece, and of course it's not actually functional. No guest would be using anything like that, so it's strictly there just for looks, and you know, I don't think it costs me all that much either. So Now, onto the retaining wall for the water. We wanted to keep the same theme as the sun flare wall and brick padding there. So we go ahead, we get a bunch of this, and this changes a bit, but it wraps around the entire attraction. So you can see we're just kind of tidying things up here, and this doesn't take very long at all. But what is going to take a long time is, now that we're going to start to wrap around the ride, how do we make it look consistent? You'd probably see something that's going to be pretty much the same turn following the turn of the ride. So obviously it's going to look a little weird with the queue where it stops, and then obviously there's a little bit extra there. But you can see I'm using some of the angle snap to get this, and you know, I built this out, and I was sitting here looking at it, and I was just like, it doesn't look quite right. So we go back and we actually delete a lot of this that we just built. There it goes. And we have to make some modifications here because I wanted to start it a little bit earlier than when I did. And you can see I maybe taking a look at putting in a different type of flooring here, but I didn't like the red brick. I didn't think that looked good. Just wasn't the right color. It stuck out, but I did want to have some type of smaller brick, which we do get that, and you'll see that here shortly. Once we get rid of that red brick. Please get rid of the red brick. There we go. All right, so we add our castle roof there, and now you can see. Now this red, we changed the color, so and it's just a similar color to everything else that's going on. It's just a smaller brick, and I think that looks really nice. And the way we use the angled, or we start angle snapping everything around, it stayed really consistent with the current turn in the sun flare. So I think that was just a happy accident. I didn't necessarily know that that was going to do that, but it did, and it looks great. And I'm really happy with that. And then obviously we had to make some changes as the ride starts to go away from the sun flare again. So we go ahead and we wanted this to be up as close as possible, and we build in a couple extra. We may start deleting some of this stuff because in the newer episodes, you know, one side of the bridge is going to be that, and the other side is going to be something different. So I'm going to take a quick sip of my beverage. So, you know, once we got all that in, we go back and say, you know what, we need to incorporate some of these bricks in so it's not just randomly. So at the different pillars, we go ahead and start adding in these little brick pieces. Obviously, we try and do it at all of them, and we focused on the ones on the outside, on that side of the ride, because that seemed to be to make the most sense, especially with the way the castle roof pieces were going to be meshing. That would be the spot that we would be covering up the mesh that wasn't working properly. So now we are moving on to the other side of the tunnel here, and this is where it starts to get a little bit more challenging, because you can see it doesn't look too bad in that first turn, but the terrain wanted to stick through everywhere. So and I wanted the path to be up as close to that as possible, because I do want to try and put benches in the wall itself, so again we can have some more natural seating. And it just wasn't working for me. I do eventually get something that I'm a little bit more pleased with. We are using the angle snap to make the turn, and you know what? I eventually say we're going to just have to redo the path, and you know, we'll just figure it out. We'll just continue with the angled or angling each wall individually, and then when it comes time, we'll just straighten it out like we are right now, and we'll shorten that up right at the edge, and have it run straight into the bridge. So I think it turns out, but you can see now we have a bunch of terrain sticking out here, so we have a lot of work to do with adjusting how we're going to do this. And you can see here comes the pathing. We try a bunch of stuff. You can see I'm building terrain up because I know once I get it in here I can cut it back. I thought I had something that worked there, but then I didn't see that it really cut in to where we were looking. So here we go. We're trying moving path in further. That doesn't quite work. We try a smaller path. That was working for a little bit, and then said, no, you know what? I don't like the way that's looking. One of these, yeah, right there, we kind of screwed up the path for the connections to the entrance and exit, so that wasn't working. And then here, we kind of just work our way around, and it worked. We knew there was going to be some terrain that was going to come out here because this is pretty much a straight cutoff, so we knew we were going to have to address some of that. So our idea to do that is to do like a waterfall planter, and I really like the way this turns out, and you know, it's not quite as tedious as some of the other stuff, but it certainly took a little bit of time because we were doing wall piece by wall piece, and I wasn't sure if I was going to want to use, I don't even know what I'm saying. I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have like the beams in between the wall pieces. I was thinking, you know what, we might need to have that, but at the end of the day, I chose not to do that. And you know, I think it looks fine. I was able to line up the wall pieces good enough that you can't really see it. So you can see we're modifying them all, trying to push them down, get the terrain, or the fake terrain, or whatever you want to call it, underneath the path on the inside, so that doesn't show up. So we do get that. We get everything put in here, and now it's time to make the second level of the waterfall planters. And now these do not stretch all the way across. So these we want them to come in and out of the wall here. Sometimes we want it to follow, sometimes we don't. And then once we complete that, obviously we have to fill in the other terrain. We wanted a third level all the way on the ground that is going to pop in where the second level doesn't show up. So we get all of that going on, and that looks good. And then I said, you know what, we probably should do something similar to that on the side where the queue ends. And you know, that'll just kind of, it's not going to be the waterfall, it's just going to be a planter that comes all the way around. And you can see that we're using our rotational technique here to make sure that we stay consistent with the rotation of the build, or of the ride. So we get that going on here, and once we get out here, then we start to go back to the just to kind of follow the car ride a little bit more. Now here you can see I'm stopped here. I was thinking, you know what, I don't know if I necessarily like that. So you know what, let's go ahead, let's build our car ride. Let's get the final version of this particular area of the car ride, because we're going to need that. We need to make sure that this is going to function properly. because if it doesn't, then we're in trouble. And you can see trying to get it to line up through the tunnel was a challenge, but eventually we do get it. It has this nice little weird S-bend right before it goes in, so I think that kind of makes sense. Then obviously setting it up all the way around the side there, that was very easy. I did notice that some of the brickwork wasn't quite as level as I wanted it to be, so we had to make some of those changes, which I think was pretty simple and pretty easy. And then finishing up some of the brickwork here on the other side, and it just tends to work out. Now you can see what we're doing here is we're changing completely how we organize this last little turn here, and the idea is you're going to want to leave a little bit of space there, just for various reasons. There could be a whole bunch of different things that you could say about that space. So we go ahead. I knew I wasn't going to complete the bridge in this episode, but I did want to at least cover up the terrain on that side. So kind of like when we're zooming around, it didn't look like completely unfinished on that side. So we go ahead. We get some of those concrete structures in here, and I think that looks fine for now. Obviously that's going to change significantly in the next episode. We go ahead and we start putting in our castle flooring, and this brought up another problem that we had to solve, there's a bunch of different ways that the castle flooring is going so that it doesn't clip through the outside. So we wanted to use the brick. The brick was the way that we initially solved that. So the idea was let's try and do that again. So we start throwing brick into a bunch of different locations, and you can see if the brick kept going, I kept going. So that means that brick would have gone all the way out through there, and I didn't want it to go that far. So we start angling things a little bit differently than what we had initially. So you can see this brick right here, that's going to be the end of that castle roof flooring, whatever you want to call it. There is going to be that central beam that goes through, just to signify there's two different things here. And then we use the inside column pieces for this the brick on that side, and I think that it works. I think it makes sense to do it that way. The rest is just trying to get the castle pieces in here, and just organizing them so we get the small brick works for us here. So this is probably the worst one, because I had to duplicate a lot and move pieces all over the place there, but it turns out that it worked pretty well here. And then obviously I just put another piece of concrete there to just kind of cover that up, you can see we're getting some last little touches in for that, and then I think we start going on to the tower here. So I wanted to change the tower. I wanted it to be completely different. I wanted it to not look like this attraction to someone that plays Planet Coaster. So we go out with art shapes and we say, you know what, let's find a way. And there were a lot of art shapes that worked really well in this build. Honestly, if the red lights there that you can see on the main tower, if they would have changed colors, I might have just left that. But they didn't. So we had to come up with a solution. And so we put our own color lights in here, and then we duplicate them around with the art shape pieces and whatnot. Now, the one thing that's really interesting about this tower is as I moved the pieces up the tower must have been not completely vertical, like straight up. Because right about there, on the other side, I think it is, the red light started to show. You can see them there. Yeah. So I just saw it, and I was just like, what's going on here? I was like, man, maybe I wasn't going straight up. So then I switched it to the world axes, and I got the same result. And I was like, this thing's not perfectly vertical. So we go in there, we start duplicating it, we start moving it around a little bit, and we eventually get it to work and cover everything up. So I was pretty happy with that. You can't really see any seams in it either, so that's perfectly fine. The other thing that I wanted to do is I knew I wanted something on the top, because I did not want to see sunbathing Planet Coaster on the top of this ride. So you can see we're still moving it around a little bit, just a little. There we go. We got it all sorted out. And, it's looking pretty good here. Now it comes to time, I wanted to be able to color different parts of this, so then it's going to look completely different. So you can see you're going to finally start to see the colors for the actual attraction here. So the red is going away. You can see we do a dark purple that leads into a very light purple with obviously the black in between. And then, for the top here, we try and make a top piece that's going to look reasonable. It ends up being huge. Kind of like the other one, which the other one didn't have to be huge. That was just me making it huge and not wanting to go back and fix it. This one had to be, because it wasn't going to cover everything if it wasn't. So we go and we just start throwing art shapes on all over the place. I wasn't too concerned about making these pieces line up and be perfect. So once we get everything in here and we get it organized, we duplicate it to the other side, we rotate it around, and we just finish it up. Because it's, again, that thing is just weird looking. You can see we just still had some issues where we needed to move that around a little bit. We got it moved, and there we go. I probably should have put something on the top of it, maybe like a flag and a light, but I didn't do that. So maybe I'll go back and do that at some point here, if I remember. We'll see. I did see that the ride itself was clipping in there, but it was just pieces that wouldn't necessarily need to be on there. So I just said, you know what, it's fine. I'm never going to see it, so it'll be okay. And then onto the structure, or the foundation for the ride. I did want to leave the sun. I didn't initially, but I said, you know what, we can make this work. I did want to leave the sun at this point. Just wanted to have something different on the outside, so bring the castle walls back in here. This was more of an annoyance because they didn't want to line up in the right spot, so I had to keep clicking into the building to make sure that I was going to be editing the right area, and then splitting it out once that was all done. We go ahead and do that quite a few times, all the way around the outside, and once they're all split out, then we select them all and we sink them in, so those bricks start showing again. And you can see I was struggling. There were some that just didn't want to work, or didn't want to split out, or I forgot to split them out. But nonetheless, we got it working out. And honestly, it doesn't look too bad that way. But I know feet would have been clipping through, and that would have been driving me nuts as start to watch that. So you can see we're getting some of the bricks as showed last time, and we start messing with the colors. I still wanted to keep the purple. I wanted to have a darker yellow for the sun, and the last thing here, well, actually it's not the last thing, but I knew I wanted to have some type of protection for the guests that were standing in line. Not so concerned about the car ride, because you're driving through, you're on a ride, you're driving underneath there. And realistically, if something falls off off the sun flare, uh, that thing's gonna go far away. You have no idea where it's gonna land. So I just wanted to have something there for the people that were in line. I couldn't really. I thought I was gonna use the mesh here, and I just didn't like the way that looked. So we end up using the curbs that you would use to like prevent guests from going somewhere unless they absolutely needed to. And they make a nice little checkerboard pattern, which you'll see here soon that I figure out. And we get those planted in here once we say, we didn't like that. We also changed the pitch of this roof once we start putting it in place. And there you go. You can see that we make that little checkerboard pattern, which I liked I liked a lot. So, yeah, so here we are trying to get this sorted out. We knew we needed to change the pitch of the roof, so we go ahead and we make those changes. We get the poles a little bit more reasonable, and we do these in space of 2s. So once we get the first 2 in here, and I liked how they were positioned, we just duplicate those around, and we get them across the most of the queue. Not the entire queue, but it ends up turning out pretty nice. Wasn't exactly sure how this was going to turn out, and if I was going to like this or not, but you know what? It was just fine. So the ones for the exit here, wasn't too thrilled with that, so we kind of separate those a little bit, but they end up looking pretty decent. We do sort out some of the terrain here on the outside then once we get that completed. We do have to move some of the castle pieces, so you're going to see me do that so they don't clip through the wall. And that doesn't take too long here. And then I think we are finally going to start jumping into the foliage. Yep. Oh, we're going to do a fence here. Forgot about the fence there. Tidy up this last little area. I do add speakers into this, so that way we get a little prestige boost from having a trigger sequence. So we have it so that there's one speaker on one side that says enjoy your ride, and a speaker on the other side says the safety spiel. So the safety spiel happens when it comes down, the enjoy your ride happens when it gets to the top, which doesn't really make sense. You would technically see that before the ride starts, but it wasn't. You can't do that, Planet Coaster. So we work with what we got, and we did mess around with the sequence a little bit. We messed around with the pitch, trying to get it to sound a little different than what it had in some of the other rides that we used it in. So we get those all sorted out, and now I think we're going to go on to foliage. And I think we're starting to get towards the end of the time lapse here. Yes, I told you it was a long time lapse. So yeah, so I wanted some planners here on some of the concrete areas. I wanted them to be different planners too. I just wanted some variation. Obviously, the waterfall planter, that's going to have its own thing. It's not going to have planters. I did want some rocks in here. The bigger planter here in the back is obviously going to have rocks and some thicker bush and shrubs and whatnot, and then a couple taller trees. Nothing significant aside from that one marula, but that's on the water side, so I thought that would be okay. And then just adding some rocks into this planter here now. Did want some thick brush to go around, but I didn't want it all the way around, and I wanted some of the flowers with the colors of the attraction. So we got white, we got red, we got yellow, like a light yellow, all throughout here. We did add some red rose bush in there, just to, as we're getting near the end of what's going to be associated with the attraction. And then, of course, these little planters over by where the seating would be, we really just put in a bunch of purple and yellow flowers. So I didn't want there to be any tall trees on that side. I didn't want anything to block the view of the ride, so we just stuck with the flowers. And I think it's fine. I think on the other side we're probably going to have some taller trees that are going to impact the sight lines and whatnot. So I think on this side it wasn't that important to have tall trees. Now we're finally on to the last bit of the time lapse here, and this is the creation of the logo for this attraction. And the attraction's name is going to be named Solar Eclipse, which you probably already know from the thumbnail. But we did a couple different types of fonts that we used for this. And I just couldn't find something that I wanted. I initially was going to say, okay, well, the O is going to be like the thing that's creating the eclipse, but I made the sun huge in the background, so that didn't necessarily work. And then I wanted the eclipse part to kind of have like a neon-y type of glow to it. So we change the fonts, and we have two different fonts on this one. So we have whatever that font is up top. I don't remember what it is. I'll put a link in the description to it. But and then I think it's Hydro's font for the Eclipse portion, and I think it turns out a lot better than what I thought it would. I was just building a small, like, it almost looks like a sunflower, but it was just a simple logo. It wasn't, or design. It wasn't supposed to be anything like Steel Eagle and Empyrean wasn't that crazy either. But I really like the way this has turned out. But we are coming up on the end of the time lapse, so I'll let you finish off this, and I will see you in the live portion. Welcome to the live portion of today's video. You can see the monstrosity that we made in the background here from the front of the park where we are standing. You can now see two giant towers, the observation tower that came a few episodes ago, and then the new solar flare that we covered up the top, and that's why it has this weird thing up here. And that was the smallest that it could have been. So, yeah, we're going to have to live with that because I did not want to see the King Coaster sunbathing up there. But, yeah, I really tried to make this look different. And, I think I succeeded. So here we are coming through the front of the park. And as we go through the carousel and past this little plaza here, you can see the massive concrete and brick pad that we have for the solar flare. So this is all, this turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I was trying to work on the car ride, and that was the goal, but I had this area here that I didn't know what to do with, and I changed to throw in this flat ride here, which took me a whole lot longer because of obviously having the round pad for the flat ride, and then trying to incorporate the car ride underneath here as a nice little, I don't know, just a little extended piece here. So you can see we are going to name this the Solar Eclipse, So it's going to be a little different, but it gets to keep the sun pattern on the walkway here. It's going to have a black and purple pattern. I did cover up the inside, the steel work all the way up. I thought it just made it look different. Obviously, I put my own lights on the outside here as well, so that kind of keeps it so it pops. And we did our own custom sign here. Now, one thing that I did do off screen is I added uh, an in-game sign inside. You can't see it at all from either side, but it allows us to market the ride itself, so people will see it and then want to go in, hopefully, and go through it. So, yeah, let's just kind of take a look through here. The pathwork was very interesting. This is raised up a little bit higher because I knew it was going to have to be higher for the car ride to be able to fit through here. And man, as that car ride get close, you could probably put your hand up and touch what's up there. But it is a car ride. That's not unheard of. As long as you're not chopping someone's head off, I think we're good. You know, people will just be able to come right on in here. Originally, I did not think I was going to be able to get the express or priority pass queue, which I was able to do. So we have a small priority pass queue that comes around. Obviously, we got our covers here, which I thought turned out pretty nice. And then you're able to get on. Nothing too fancy here. The bulk of it was making the foundation here for the water, the concrete wall, the brick wall, or whatnot. And then, of course, we come over here. We have the unfinished bridge, which we will do in the next episode when we work on the car ride, which I did use the Luna Autos. And that's because I did want the center rail. I did not want it to be just like a trackless type thing. So that's why we have the center rail, but I did want these cars because I think these cars are really cool. So, and we'll change colors of those and whatnot there. But, you know, I didn't add any trees along this way. We do have pathing here that it might let us put the benches in here, so it'll be some natural seating for the guests, which I think will be nice. And I'm hitting the wrong buttons all over the place. But yeah, I think this turned out really good. I'm really happy with it. You know, I think it'll kind of round out this area once we start getting this building in here. We start building in on the other side, and you know, I think it'll fit in pretty nicely. It's also a huge attraction. It's got the different colors. It's just unnecessarily massive. You know, I kind of think it balances the park out. We had the big, the tallest tower in the park over here. We got Empyrean, which is our tallest coaster, and then we've got Steel Eagle. So it kind of brings some height back to the skyline on this side, because Steel Eagle isn't necessarily something that's going to be up there very high, but you know, I think it just works out really, really well. So, and hopefully it'll bring some people over to Storistas so they can start making money, because I'm pretty sure they are not making money. So anyway, we should jump into our management features, because you can see we are at $27,000. We are making a little bit of money this month, which is nice. You know, generally speaking, we've been doing pretty good. That was not the right button. So, yeah, taking a look at our overview, everyone's happy. Our staff is at 99%, so we'll have to take a look to see why they're at 99%. Most profitable ride is the baggage carousel, which is pretty wild. The propeller smoothie is our best and most profitable shop, which I think that is because Imperium broke down and everyone just went right to it. All green comments across the board, which is fantastic. The parking jam is still the most popular attraction. That's crazy, but then again, it's free, and the way the game works, it's considered a ride, so that is what it is. Now, let's take a look here. You can see it looks like we've been pretty negative. Like I said, both coasters broke down in both of these months, so that's probably why you're seeing that. But like I said, we're at $27,000. At one point, we were at 24, so we definitely brought it back up somewhere along the line. And I think we're doing okay here. Obviously, our shop, our rides and tickets and whatnot, they are coasters. Uh, when they have a bad month, the rides are just doing great to keep everything going. So I'm really happy with that. Our small attractions, we're continuing to lose there, but that's okay because it's not significant. Coasters, they've been profitable, so that's all I can ask for at this point. And then priority passes, look at that, $524 in priority pass sales. That is a huge expense for us because we have so many guest service buildings or priority pass information, whatever they call them in game, and they cost a lot of money. So to see $500, that's doing pretty good to help us offset everything that we're doing with that. So our shops and facilities, you can see we were very close to breaking even, which that is pretty huge because we tend to just lose money on our shops and sales, but that number is always inflated when the coasters break down because everyone comes out of the queue and they're thirsty, and then Propeller Smoothies makes a ton of money. So that is good to see. We're actually making money so far this month, which is pretty crazy. Our hotel is doing very well for only having a limited number of rooms, so I'm happy with that. Our restaurant's closed, so we don't have to worry about that because that was hemorrhaging money. So there's that. And then, of course, our staff wages and scenery running costs, that's always going to be a major negative for us. Ride rebranding, we don't have anything else that's in here. And then construction costs, obviously I was doing a little bit of work here. It wasn't too expensive. The tower here was pretty expensive, but everything else, pretty good. So moving on, research, marketing, we don't got any of that. Our staff, we do have some updates here. We have some people looking to join the park, and if you are interested in joining the park, please let me know in the comment section. Let me know which staff member you want to be, and we will find a way to get you in here. You can pick one color. I try to limit it to one color because I don't want to go too crazy and having a bunch of different colored people around. Or colored uniforms, I should say. But anyway, we got a new entertainer. So Chief Beef is here. We are going to just terminate Chief Beef because and he's in Park Center, so we're gonna get him back at some point. But we have someone that wants to be Dex R, so let's go ahead. We will drop him in here. Now Dex R, that is Clano Moraine. And I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But we got you in here. Welcome to the park. And I am excited to see what you do. I don't know if I've ever hired a Dexar. So we'll see how that goes. There goes Sad Chief Beef. He's just not cutting it. Here comes in Dexar to make the rounds and the changes and whatnot. So, yeah, so obviously we're going to have to pay you $150 a month. So we got that in there, and then Alfie and Daniel, K Dancer, all doing great work for us throughout the park here. Now, let's see, our janitors aren't going to show, so we are getting that glitch where that doesn't want to work. There we go. Our janitors, everyone's pretty happy. And we haven't had any issues with the park being dirty, so we are happy with that. Ooh, our vendors. Vendors are always an interesting topic. So he's high, but he can't get trained anymore, so he's not going to worry about him too much. We got low for Ethel. Ooh, Ferdinand. Oh, he's resting at the staff building. I think he's fine. this person's not quite happy, but, you know, that's fine. Resting at the staff building, that's fine. Low, 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 low. Low, 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 low. Normal, normal, normal. Low, normal, normal. Yeah, so I think they're good. This is probably the one person that brings us down to 99%. And she's resting at staff building, so hopefully that will change that. We got our mechanics out here. Edmund Delaney is out here getting a high workload, but I just don't feel like it's necessary. He's inspecting stunt pilots, so I don't feel like it's necessary to upgrade them, and Arch is doing a great job as well. Now, our security team, this is where a lot of people want to be hired, and we got one more coming in here. And boy, we have a lot of security staff, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna hire a new security guard. So let's go ahead. We will drop him in here. Let's go. We have to get our staff here, so we have to get the colors correct. And he wanted to be orange. The accent color that I use is already orange, so that will be fine. We are just going to pay him 110 right off the rip. And this is TRM Memories. Asterisks at the end, so I remember. We're just going to let you free roam for a little bit. And then, of course, we are going to get that there. So, there we go. Welcome to the Team TRM Memories. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to you starting to catch some vandals. We'll get you trained up as we go through the episodes here. And if I remember while I'm going through the time lapses, we will also get you trained up for that. So now Park Center, for our, what's it called, we do have to update that here quick. So we'll go ahead and throw that in here. Do we want to, can we get any of this stuff in here? I don't know if we can. Throw that in there. So that gives us an opportunity to make sure that this is going to be policed by all of our different staff, so that shall be fine. Our staff buildings, I'm still pretty content. Wow, that's got 3 people in it. That's wild. Bear Paw Eats is probably the one that we really need to keep an eye on the most. Starissa's will eventually be one of those. But you can see we don't have... Oh, that's just different things. So, I think we're looking pretty good for staff, and you know, we're not spending too much money. We're into 28,000, so yeah, we're making some money. That's good. Our guest summary, our adult groups, they are 36% is adult groups, so that's not even the largest one, but they spend about $83. The teen groups, they don't spend much at all. And they also spend the least amount of time in here. Right now, our focus should be the family groups. This is where we make our money. $112 average per group. That's pretty good. And look how long they tend to stay in the park. So they also withdraw more out of the ATMs. Spend a little bit more in the gift shops. Spend more on the rides. Coasters not so much because they can't get on as many coasters, but food, drinks, and all that. So again, our happiness is good, energy is good, hunger, thirst, and toilet always the same, 98% there. Again, and then our guest thoughts, thirsty, baggage carousel was full. That's not going to get any better, so or any bigger, so that's fine. Total guests actually dropped down a little bit here, which is fine. That probably was a result of the ride breaking, and it actually looks like it's gonna go up once we get through July. So that's gonna come right back up, and you know, we're gonna open up a ride here as we go through our attractions. So, aerial attack, it is reviving. It's not that classic status, so we don't have to worry about changing the price point. Air traffic control, that is classic. And that's, we're losing money on this, but that's just because there's not a lot of people in this area yet. That's definitely going to change when this opens, because these draw in a ton of people. This will draw in a little bit, not much, but there is that. Balloon Flight made some money. We're a classic, so we're already set up there. Carousel, classic, made some money there. That's good. Crankshaft made almost $2,000 last month. That's wild. Empyrean made less money than Crankshaft, and that must have broke down. But it made money, so that's good. Hercules lost some money, but again, we're classic already, so that's fine. Hyperjump's not a Luna Auto's not open. We are trying to minimize the tram costs. I think 152.37 is pretty reasonable for a ride that should technically be free. But with all the way the game works, I think this is a good compromise. Scissor at wow, $1,300. That's really good. Steel Eagle, $686. That might be. There's probably going to be some things here that we need to change. Steel Eagle definitely broke down. But anyway, let's get through this. So Solar Flare, or Sun Flare, Solar Eclipse, and 674. I've already made some modifications, so we got 4 spin highs. We do have some trigger sequences, and it's just speakers. So when it gets to the top and all that stuff, it says enjoy the ride and watch your hands and feet, all the safety stuff. So I think that is fine. We do need to get this set up now. I just want to double check our prestige, make sure we are charging the appropriate amount here. To figure out the max that you can charge, you take that prestige number that you see there, the 674, you divide that by 35. And it comes to 1925. Now, we obviously have some restrictions, so the max that we can charge for a thrill ride is $15. So that's what we're going to charge. And that will be fine because as it goes through its life cycle, that prestige number will decrease and then will increase once it becomes classic. So you can see we got a 5% boost here. That should be fine. And then it'll drop over time and then come back, so that's good. Now, we do want to try to wait for a full load. The minimum wait, we don't necessarily want that. We will give it a 200-second max wait. Priority pass is equal. I feel like that should be fine. And then this is probably going to break down a bit, but the line's not too long, so it shouldn't be that rough. We'll get our 10-minute. Actually, let's do 20 minutes because I don't know how important that's going to be. So Solar Eclipse is open. This is going to take a long time to start seeing people to come through here, but they will come through here and they will ride it. So. That will be good. Now, float to the sky. We want to bring this down to 30%. We do want to have audio as it goes up and down. I think that just makes a lot of sense to have that. So we'll keep that. You can see some of the stuff glitching through there, but there's no way around that. So, so here we go. Let's get back in here. Rides that I am potentially concerned about. Aerial attack. Let's take a look here. We are 1 month until classic. Rebranding does not make sense. Does refurbishing make sense? 11%. It probably does make sense. So let's just go ahead. We're going to refurbish that. And we hit that at the right time because it broke down. So that was perfect. Air traffic control. That's good. It just had broken down, so it's fine. Balloon flight, we're not too worried about. That's going to be fine. Carousel is going to be fine. Crankshaft, we need to refurbish this. Crankshaft going to get refurbished. Hercules, that is good. Let's see. Scissor, I think that's fine. Solar Eclipse obviously is new. Steel Eagle. Yep. Time to refurbish Steel Eagle. Stunt Pilot, that's going to need it too. Where's Empyrean? How did I miss Empyrean? That one's good. It's been broken down a lot, but it is still good. So we're going to leave it there. So we just spent a lot of money, but we should get a lot of that money back as rides get refurbished, and then they can last a little bit longer. So that's going to make our mechanics work pretty hard here for the next couple minutes, but that is fine. Now let's get into our shops. And where are we at? August year 1. August year 138, August 1st. Propeller smoothies, almost $800. That's great. Steel Eagle, $620. That's awesome. Baggage balloons. All of these attractions that are near exits or entrances are making the most money. And then it goes to barrel rolls, which is really interesting because that's not by anything. Then Bear Paw Eats Pizza Pen. It's looking good. Barrels again. Skyride Gulpy is good. The other propellers smoothie is doing good, which is out here, which doesn't have many people, so that's also really cool. Wing It Tiki Cheeky is doing all right. Everything. We made money with a guest service, and this was one on the outside of the park entrance. That's crazy. Oh, we need to do that. I didn't want to edit a building there. So we got the tickets, guest services. They're closed. Okay. So that's good. Obviously, the one gift shop is completely closed because that's just a way to lose money. Alright, so let's see. Vending machine, that lost $16. That's nothing. Manger Frites, losing a little bit of money. Storistas, we know that's going to lose some money. We do need to add this here. And it's going to force me into editing, which is interesting. Okay, so we got the first one there. And this is, I wish there was a way to just update all of them all at once. Maybe there is and I forgot about it. I don't know. I'm only updating the ones that are open now. Tickets. That's the side entrance guy. Oh, I just screwed up. Just cancel. Okay, there we go. Get that. A lot of clicks to get through this. So that was the ticket side entrance. And that should be it. But you can see the other wing at TG had one guest and you lost $438. Cosmic Cows, losing money at the front of the park. I think that's probably going to be permanent. They're just going to keep losing money. They're not losing a lot of money, but, you know, I have to keep an eye on that. Facilities, obviously we're losing money on facilities. Small attractions, we had one that made money. The claw machine at Gifts to Go, which is not the one that typically makes money, so that was the one over here. The other two have lost money, but not a lot, nothing significant. Monthly profit, the Sleepy Steward, really doing a lot better than I thought it was going to. It's not being overwhelmed. I think it's at a good prestige right now, so that's good. Obviously, Seer Squad is not open, so that's fine, and the Vista points don't make a difference at the moment. And then jumping into security, We got 10 pickpocket victims in park, which really not that bad for the size of the park that this is. And oops, dropped my pen. Security cameras, that we're losing a lot of money there. And then crime stats, all of that is good and replaced, so that is excellent. And of course, all of our speakers and billboards and whatnot. So overall, I'm very happy with the way this episode has gone. Obviously, we're down to $17,000. Hopefully, we're going to start to make some more money as we go through here. But I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like. If you saw something I could have done better in the comment section, or let me know in the comment section. And if you want to see some more awesome Planet Coaster content, please subscribe to the channel. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Later.